My name's Laura Lewis and I'm 53. I live and work on Quandamooka country, whose sovereignty has never been ceded. And I would like to acknowledge the elders, past, present, and emerging. Where do I begin? I haven't prepared today. I thought I'd give you a raw and uncut version of my story. I think what I'd like to do is begin with my diagnosis, my correct diagnosis at the age of 49 of autism, shortly followed after, but with ADHD. These two diagnoses really helped me understand the whole backstory of my life. I had many aha moments. I spent probably too much time doing the what ifing and imagining sliding door moments. If anyone doesn't know what a sliding door moment is, it's where you could walk into a train, like the movie with Gwyneth Paltrow. You walk into a train and the train goes one way for one life and another way for another life. And I did that a lot, imagining if I had the autism and ADHD diagnosis when I was much younger, because I did go through a fair amount of trauma due to having a late diagnosis. Does it mean I had a horrible life? Not really. I am married. I've got a wonderful partner and we've been together for 21 years. I've got a 20-year-old autistic son and an 18-year-old daughter. And we're a very close, happy, tight family unit. We are pretty insular with our lives because the three of us are introverted. My son is the extrovert of the family. So yeah, that diagnosis was amazing, particularly because I was able to also, with ADHD, begin a medication that helped me with the functionality of my brain. Now, I can't talk about how the medication really works. I'm not a practitioner, but for me, I can just explain it as it gave me, like it lifted a fog off my brain. And all of a sudden, I realized I wanted to have a creative pursuit, never having done art before that. I've got some artwork here to show you, and I'm self-taught because I'm a very defiant, oppositional kind of person, and I didn't want to be told how to do art or learn that you had to paint like Van Gogh to do fine art or anything like that. I just wanted to do art my way. So this is just something I did this morning with watercolors and pen. This is just a fun little 70s kind of retro groovy feel. I like to work with mixed media, using a multiple of different resources. This is probably one of my favorites. And last one for today is this one. So I'll be framing all these shortly, and I'm be looking for a space to exhibit them. And hopefully I will be able to sell some, because I always donate a percentage of my profits to a charity that really aligns with my values. So I'm going to skip back now to the age of 41. At the age of 41 or 42, it was the 9th of January 2011. And if you lived in Brisbane then, you will recall that we had terrible rains and flooding. And I know the events of that day only because of what my husband and my mother have told me. I started crying pretty much hysterically. non-stop crying. It was scaring my children, who were very tiny at the time. And I ended up at a local emergency. And they don't have a psych registrar on a Sunday because apparently people don't have mental health issues on weekends. So I eventually, I don't know how long I actually spent at the ED, but I was eventually transferred to a private psychiatric facility. And I do recall it was dark, it was raining, and this is one memory I do have. And we were walking around trying to find the after hours entrance, and we were all scared. My mum, my husband was with me, and myself. We were all very scared. We did not know what I was in for. I spent 7 weeks in that hospital with my first admission. And for that year, 2011, I spent more time as an inpatient than I did as an outpatient. So I had a multiple amount of admissions. And all that time, I was also going to outpatient day programs and things like that as well. And over the course of about 10 years, I spent something like over 270 nights as an inpatient in this place. Early in my treatment, my psychiatrist told me that he felt there was nothing he could do. He was unsure why I wasn't responding to the medication changes he'd given me, and pretty quickly suggested that I have electroconvulsive therapy. I looked at him as the expert in his field, and I trusted him implicitly and agreed to go ahead with that. And I think it was either 6 or 12 rounds of ECT, electroconvulsive therapy. I was told that the side effects would be short-term memory impairment, which would not last, but that it would be a very hopefully positive outcome with regards to my depression. So I went through ECT, and to this day, so this is 10 years later, I still have an acquired brain injury with short-term memory impairment. I've lost a lot of memories that are very important to me. I know around that time I attended my niece's graduation from high school. The only thing I've got from that is a photograph. I have no memories of that time, which is such a shame. And a lot of other memories, we'll be watching a movie and my husband will say, "We've already watched this." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And things like that happen a lot. And at times it really is embarrassing, or it can be inconvenient if I'm speaking in public and I forget a word, and it's one of those words you just think, "Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue and I should know this word," and I can't remember the word. But I do a lot of things to help me with workarounds with my short-term memory impairment, and happy to share them at another time if anyone wants to know. So I then spent many years seeing a psychologist and seeing my psychiatrist and going to day programs and, working really hard on myself. And I can truly say that the very best breakthrough was my ADHD and autism diagnosis. And I feel bittersweet, probably more than bittersweet, angry about having had ECT because of the very terrible side effect, permanent side effect I've been left with. And I wish that had not been the case. I like to talk about my story with regards to a misdiagnosis and a correct diagnosis to just help people who may be going through a similar journey. I also like to say that I live, thrive, and falter with a mental illness. And that's because that's what I do. I will have days where I'm fantastic, then I'll spend 2 days in bed. I see my psychiatrist now very, very infrequently, so it's just for medication purposes only. And I find that forcing myself to face, and this is my own experience only, I recommend that you always seek out professional support and advice before you make decisions around your own care and treatment. But I find that almost forcing myself to live in discomfort and distress in alignment with acceptance and commitment therapy has been also an incredibly big breakthrough. And I've found out that, part of experiencing joy and happiness means that there will be times I experience sadness and distress. It's because it's a balance, and we have to have both to really and truly appreciate both. So I don't know how long I've been talking for, but I'm going to start wrapping up. With my own personal life, I've had quite a few achievements. I've spoken in Parliament House in Canberra at the launch of the Parliamentary Friends of Autism group. I've addressed the Senate Select Committee on Autism. I've addressed the Mental Health Committee for Queensland Government on the mental health report that has recently been tabled. I've helped my son, who is 20, start his own business because he could not get a job. There is a really high rate of unemployment for autistic people. It's 38.1% approximately at the moment. And my son has a thriving micro business, and he's incredibly happy and got this great purpose, and he's financially independent. What else? Oh, I've done a 1-minute pitch at TEDx, and I've done quite a few other speaking engagements. And my passion is to change the way bullying is handled in schools and the systems that the education department use to actually, I guess, deal with it and communicate with parents. So that's probably my biggest one because of the way my son was bullied at school. And then, of course, I've got my love for, I guess, removing the stigma of mental illness, and also anything about inclusion is something I'm a big fan of. So I'm not going to leave you with any wise words. I hope that I've left you with a lot to think about. I'm guessing that Finding North will give you an opportunity for connecting with me if you want to after the event, because you're more than welcome to, and I'd be more than happy to chat or email at any stage. I'd like to thank Finding North Network for this opportunity. It's a great network. I'm thrilled with being involved, and I hope everyone enjoys the event.